I've got my drink bottle here. We always think of our clients' businesses like this bottle, and we know there's holes in the bottle where money's leaking out. And to your point around, I know I've got holes in this bottle and I want to fill it. So instead of going in and finding where those leaks are and fixing them for good, I'll change hoses. And the beauty of Profit is that it just forces them really quickly to see that it's not the hose that's the problem. It's the bucket you're trying to fill.
Welcome, Dean, from the Workshop Whisperer. Dean has been one of our Profit First members for nearly 6 years, and we're going to have a chat today about a little bit about that journey, but a lot about their business and how they implemented Profit First into the larger program for your business. So welcome, Dean. If you just want to do a bit of an intro or a big intro for what you
are. Dean Evans from the Workshop Whisperer. We work with auto repair business owners across Australia and New Zealand to help them build a business that doesn't depend on them to run. My wife, Rachel, was the brains of the operation. She started it nearly 12 years ago. From her experience with her ex-husband, they bought a rundown auto repair business here in Newcastle. When they finally got into it, it was in a worse state than it had been sold to them as. So through trial and error, they built it from low 5 figures up to a 7-figure operation, won a few local awards. Other auto repair business owners started asking Rach what they'd done to turn the business around. So that started a few coffee conversations. And then Rach thought, well, I wonder if there's anyone that does coaching in this space. There was no one in automotive. So she wrote an 8-week program called Auto Superstars Academy that we still sell today. And then in 2015, spark of inspiration in the presidential suite at the Reef View Hotel on Hamilton Island. She'd had 6 businesses up there. They asked her what they could keep doing after the weekend. She had no idea. She went back to the suite at lunchtime and wrote on one page about this ongoing monthly mentoring arrangement that she called the Engine Room. And that's our flagship program that we now sell and now enrolled businesses in across Australia and New Zealand. And we sell digital products online globally. So that's us.
And I think that's a really, really good example of we don't have to overcomplicate our businesses. Did something really well, took that business from terrible to amazing, learn a few things along the way, and then actually listen to what others were asking and was able to then create an outline, I should say, and get started. And I think that's where lots of businesses get stuck, is that they wait for everything to be perfect. When this happens, then I'll do that. And what we were talking about previously, sometimes you can have things pop up and along the way, whether they'll be health or family or whatever else, and it stops us and derails us. Yet in your business with your clients, Profit First has been something that is required, I believe, and something to do very, very early on. So just share a little bit about that for me and why you and Rach decided to do that.
Yeah. So it said Workshop Whisperer's been around for 12 years. I came in 7 years ago. I was running my own executive consulting business before that. So I was a radiographer by qualification, did MRI and X-rays. So it seems funny to think that I'm now in a business that coaches auto repair business owners. But everything that I used to teach in that corporate space applies here. But what I find is that, our clients, they are so thirsty for the knowledge. They're like sponges. They absolutely lap it up. But there was one thing that Rach and I both... we were actually introduced to Profit First through a mentor of ours, a guy called Taki Moore. And Rach and I were in there with our separate businesses at the start of 29. And both of us felt that it was like a missing piece of the puzzle that we were trying to put together for our clients. I was running a program working with self-employed dads. Obviously, Rach was doing Workshop Whisperer. So we both heard about Profit First through Taki's Black Belt program. We both became certified Profit First professionals. For me, I had no background in finance or accounting or money, but I always had good logic, and I liked simple systems that made sense to folks that didn't have like a Harvard MBA in management accounting. So I was really attracted to the concept and the logic behind Profit First, as was Rach, especially because she felt it was a system that she could introduce to her clients at the time, order repair business owners, mum and dads, way that would allow them to understand how money was traveling through their business. Of course, end of 29, I wound up my business. By the start of 2020, COVID was a thing. So I was inside the Workshop Whisperer by then. And it was almost, in some ways, divine timing, because our business exploded through COVID. And what was everyone's biggest concern then? It was their ability to manage their money. So having this cash flow management model, Profit First, in place in our business, running assessments on our new clients that would come in, as I said, it was almost divine timing. And we still say it was probably the missing piece of the engine room puzzle. We'd had an established program. It worked really, really well. But we were still talking about, you got to chat through your P&L with your accountant, and you got to look at your cash flow somewhere in your balance sheet. And we all know that that's what we should be doing. But reading through it and making sense of what it's telling you, that's where the Profit First system was just incredibly powerful, because of how simplistic it is, which should not be misinterpreted with, oh, well, it's a simple, easy system and everyone should just know it.
And that's key, in that there's that gap between what we should know and we should be doing, looking at reporting and so on. But what I always say, those reports are showing information and data that has already happened. And if that isn't current and up to date and you're not doing that regularly, then the gap just continues to grow, because you don't have a tool that's managing that part. And that's where, obviously, as we said, Profit First comes into it. And again, I like that it is a very simple system when it's set up correctly. And I mean, you would have had clients who have attempted to do it themselves, and you would see how it can go a bit pear-shaped, and we see it all the time as well. And I'd love to understand, when clients come into your program, so you mentioned you do an assessment, and what else do you do with them from a Profit First perspective to get that kick-started business?
Yeah. So when any new client joins the End Room, which is our 18-month flagship coaching program, we've got a 6-week on-ramp for them. The goal of that is for every new client to see how they're going to get their full ROI paid back within the first 12 to 18 months. Really, so they can take a big breath and go, oh, okay, I can afford this thing and I'm in the right place. Get them to relax. So we have them watch a little training on their labor rates and diagnostic rates, so they can make some adjustments there. There's a 3-week program called Expert Selling System. We teach them how to recommend new work to customers in a way that gets them saying yes to their prices. And then the very next thing we have them do is Profit First. Because the thing that we would hear more often in our program than anything else would be, I'm just a mechanic, mate, and my accountant takes care of that. So there's no appreciation for their numbers, and there's no ongoing visibility of the trend in those numbers. So by having the Profit First assessment, we can see where the holes are in the business immediately. In most cases, it's that typical equation that we hear so much when we start with Profit First. Sales minus expenses equals your profit. So we're making this flip to the way they handle money. And because of that, the foundational bank account structure, it becomes so obvious so quickly to new clients that they just cannot continue to run their business this way. Or suddenly it makes sense why at the end of a month, a quarter, a year, there's absolutely nothing left in their bank account. So our first, we say in the first 3 to 5 months, and I would think we've easily done over 100 assessments in that time. 3 or 4 of them might have OPEX that's sitting, at or below the limit. So 97% of them are above, and many are way, way above. So then we start the process of negotiating with their suppliers and to reduce, their buy prices while working with them, as I said, around your labor rates. We take approach with their margins and markups to make sure that they're getting the right profit margins on every part, every product, every time. We're working with them around monitoring productivity. We've also got 15 industry benchmarks that we're measuring their business against for a solidly profitable business. And underpinning all of that is ensuring that we're starting to put money aside for profit, allocating what's required for tax, and of course then starting to find and fix where money's leaking out from inside their workshop first. And the key pillar of that is profit first. So while you'd said before, and it's so true, like it's one piece of the puzzle, it's a critical piece. And before we had it, we would talk about it, but I couldn't ever say that the clients understood it or embraced it. And the assessments changed that because there's no hiding.
No, so I was just going to say that. So they can't hide. And I typically will work with lots of trades and builders as well. And they always, like your auto shop owners, I'm no good at this, or I'm just a dumb insert here.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when they have the right system that's simple and set up correctly, it actually does make it really easy for them to understand their finances and their numbers and manage that money. And we often, and you would probably hear this too, business owners tend to default to that if I just win this big job, this next job, get this type of job, then all my money problems are going to disappear. And we know that's not the case. It'll just actually amplify what is not working. And so I love that you mentioned there, it's all about what are they doing now and how can they make more out of what they've already got before they even think about going and getting more clients.
Yeah. The way we talk about it is I've got my drink bottle here, right? We always think of our clients' businesses like this bottle, right? And we know there's holes in the bottle where money's leaking out. And to your point around if I just win this big job, it's kind of like saying, well, I know I've got holes in this bottle and I want to fill it. So instead of going in and finding where those leaks are and fixing them for good, I'll change hoses. And so they'll go, well, I'll just work harder. I'll just get more cars and I'll make more money and it'll be good. And then I'll start fixing the business. And again, the beauty of, profit first that we're talking about is that it just forces them really quickly to see that it's not the hose that's the problem. It's the bucket you're trying to fill. And it's not just one bucket. We're actually looking at, your profit, your pay, your tax, your operating expenses. And then in our world, there's a GST account. We've got parts accounts we get them to make along with the principle of, when in doubt, open another account. And we are really, really strong on one of the underpinning philosophies, which is $1 can only ever live in one account. You can't split it between two. So where do you want to put it? But it helps them. I think it gives them a sense of control and confidence about starting to put the puzzle together of, where's my money going? So that gives them the capability to go and have a conversation with their accountant, with their bookkeeper from a place of understanding. Whereas before they were just sitting there, they'd listen, they'd just nod their head and, my accountant says I've got to do this. But they come back and they just go, but I actually don't know what that means. Versus, you've got to get 4% extra into your profit. You've got to reduce your operating expenses by 8%, but we've got 6 months to do that. So the math is, we'll help you pour some more in, but this process, this cash flow management model, is going to help you stop it from leaking out. Well, you don't have to be a Harvard PhD in finance to understand that, that's actually going to fill your buckets up and then it'll overflow and it's only going to your bottom line or your back pocket. So again, the logic, the simplicity, the fact that it creates very fast wins. It might only be small. It might only be 1 to 2%, but this is for folks that over, 5, 10, at times 15 years have spent their life thinking, I just don't know why this isn't working. But when you appreciate that, discipline, what do they say? What are the 3 keys to freedom? Structure, order, discipline. Profit first gives you, there's structure. There's those foundational accounts and then multi-accounts or additional accounts if you need them. There's an order in which you allocate and there's a discipline now where we ask them to do it weekly just because we want that habit. That's what best practice has shown to be. We have some people that are hyper profit first nerds and they do it daily. Works for them. That's great. But that structure, that order and the discipline, they see progress. So it excites them. We let them know pretty clearly it's going to take somewhere between 3 to 5 months before the ends finally meet, but we can help you while they're finding their way together. It's been a fantastic addition to what was already a very, very good program.
And I often hear that, oh, I wish I would have heard about this or started doing this a year ago, however long ago. And my response is always, well, we can't go back and change the past, but you're here now. And like you always mention that it's not just we wave a magic wand, you open bank accounts and you move some money around and everything's amazing. It does take that following that structure and having that discipline and being willing and open to have a look at what's actually going on, because the numbers will tell the story of your business.
Yes.
But we've just not had a way to understand it in normal plain language. It's pretty simple. Do I have money in my bank account or not?
Yeah, the concept of bank balance accounting. Yeah, the concept of bank balance accounting is fantastic. Oh, you don't have the money in the account? Well, then you can't say yes to it. You don't have the money to pay for the thing that you're rewarding yourself, despite the fact you haven't quite yet met the requirement to give yourself a reward. You can't have that thing. So those behavioral changes, and that's my thing. Like I love the behavior aspect of it. Accredited consultant in extended disc behavioral profiling. So to see the positive shift that Profit First has, not just in our clients' business banking, but to then see it transfer into their personal lives and how it transforms their level of wealth, their investment portfolios. So through Profit First, their auto repair business is no longer the only cash producing asset that they have. We work closely with a group that are in property coaching and investment portfolios. And it's like the profit account serves a purpose larger than just, we'll pop your profit over there and give yourself a pat on the back. It's like, this is the money that we're now going to use to build wealth for as long as you want to have a lifestyle that you want to live. So it's made a massive difference there. And to your point, I mean, it's a massive difference to Rach and I wish I'd known about this system, that I learned about it. And if I'm honest, I probably did. My mother used to have the little plastic bags and put the cash in, and that bag was for this and that bag was that. But what do we know? You know, the simplest things, the things that are easiest to understand are the things that you're most likely going to stick with. This method it's not easy, because if it was easy, well, everyone would be doing it. But it is, once it's up and running, I would say it is easy to maintain once you've got your account structures in place. You're allocating regularly, doing all the things that it says to do on the box. I can't think of a single client who's implemented their Profit First rollout plan efficiently and diligently who's ever come and said, oh, well, it's just not working for me.
The same. And whenever somebody says to me, oh, Profit First didn't work, I'm like, awesome. Like, tell me more about that. Like, what bank accounts do you have to do it? And as soon as they start, instantly, it's like, that's not Profit First. That's why it's not working. And I think, your mum having those, plastic Ziploc bags or whatever it was is so simple, just like Profit First is. But we overcomplicate it and we move away from that simple processes until we end up potentially in a little bit of a mess. And as you say, coming back to just have that structured routine, discipline, and your clients are very, very grateful that you've opened up a world, and Profit First has only been a little part of that, but you've opened up a world to them that they probably didn't even think was available to them. Many of them probably think they're just going to work in this business, they're going to take a wage, free time here and there.
Yeah, we do a live in-person. I mean, we're a wholly online business, but we do one live in-person event every year. It's been on Hamilton Island. Rach and I tried to not go there for a couple of years, and our client said, but that is the spiritual birthplace of Enderum. There's something just everyone is so connected to that place. Overwhelmingly, our clients, when they arrive, especially when they're there for the first time, always say, yes, okay, without engine room, it wouldn't be possible. But they also say, they're there because of Profit First, because they took some of the funds and they allocated it to book the flights, to book the hotel, to book the Airbnb, to be there. It has such a tremendous impact. For example, we had two longer term clients. One's been with us, I think they're 5, and both been with us 5 years. Not only did they come with their partners to last year's event, but they brought their kids and they bought one set of their grandparents, and none of it, they paid for everything. And it was all done because they opened up an engine room retreat account. They transferred some of that cash in weekly, like we're all told to do, and they made the thing happen. So it's and we love those stories. But there is, if you're in this space, this coaching space, the thing that lights you up the most is seeing your clients win. I don't think I'll ever get fully used to how grateful they are to what we do, because we always just love seeing them just live lives that they scratch their head and going like, we just never thought this was possible.
And just to hear that they're able to bring their family, like the kids and grandparents, whatever else, like for me, that is just the absolute best, because they can still do the business event and bring family along as well and be able to afford it. And like that is that.
Yeah. And the clients with really young kids, I say, but they're too young. Like, we're afraid we'll lose them. We're like, it's an island. They can't get lost. Like, yeah, they can't get lost. You'll find them. It's just, to see how the event's grown, but to know this one piece that we put in place 6 years ago has helped such a large number of people to do more of the things they love with the people they love the most. Yes, the program's great. Yes, we know if you do the work, it'll work for you. But this one piece around money, around finance, around cash flow that they can actually grasp. And even for me, like I'm not a finance guy, but it makes sense to me. It means I can have a conversation. I think most importantly is that it helps me to understand what questions to ask around why they might be in the position they're in, and we know where to go and start digging now. So yeah, it's been a tremendous addition to the Engine Room program.
And on that note, where can people find you? My dad was a mechanic way back when he started, so I've always had a soft spot for those who are in that area, and any of those businesses. I know it's a struggle. There's lots of moving parts, lots of juggling.
Yeah. They love fixing cars. They never got taught how to fix a business.
No.
For us, the easiest way, workshopwhisperer.com online. Our website there's a bucket load of resources that auto repair business owners can download there. Porter Profit, Financial Mastery, the 4-day work week, which we pioneered. Heaps of help there. On YouTube as well, follow us there, Workshop Whisperer channel. They are the best places to start, hear what we're about. And while I say auto repair business owners, it started with people who just fixed cars, but now we've had clients that have worked on that fix motorbikes, motorhomes, caravans, boats. We've had mining equipment, farming machinery. If it's got a motor and that motor needs to be repaired, we've probably had a business that does that inside the engine room. But the best place, workshopwhisperer.com, or follow the Workshop Whisperer on YouTube.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Dean.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.